Michigan's short track racing authority is Horsepower Happenings.
Charlie Bauer, welcome into Horsepower Happenings.
Scotty Thiel, welcome to Horsepower Happenings.
John Beach, welcome into Horsepower Happenings.
Adam Terry, welcome into Horsepower Happenings.
Paul Pelletier,
Corbin Hazlett, Riley Knoll,
Matt Cup, Dylan Stovall, welcome into Horsepower Happenings.
From pavement to dirt, modifieds to sprint cars, hear from drivers, promoters, track owners, and many other industry leaders.
We worked on that car for 12 days straight, and when I got to the Speedway Saturday, I was out of gas. I had to take a nap.
You're out there and, you know, that groove, if you're outside of it, you could be a couple tenths off or even half a second off.
It is not the shock that you've won all these races. You know what I mean? There's so many pieces to the puzzle to make these cars go fast.
I don't care what he says. I saw a thing on Facebook on somebody's post that's now been deleted that one of his crew guys said that the spotter told him car low and I wrecked him.
With over 50 years of experience from racing to management, here are Zach Heiser and Rich France.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome into Horsepower Happenings, a massive, might be record-breaking show tonight on Horsepower Happenings. Holy cow, do we have a lot to talk about. All that coming up, but first, here's what's happening in a MARC News Minute. Bobby Pierce led all but 3 laps of the final 50-lap feature at the Wild West Shootout at Central Arizona Raceway in Casa Grande, Arizona. Pierce collected $25,000 for the win. Then an additional $23,500 in lap money, plus $3,000 in the fan challenge. Quick math, Rich, that's over $51,000. Hudson O'Neal wins the Wild West Shootout Super Late Model Championship, not without some drama. Emerson Axum earned his first career Chili Bowl Nationals win on Saturday at the ripe old age of 21. What is producer Noah doing at 21 years old? Not winning the Chili Bowl Nationals. Axum wins in what some are calling one of the most competitive Chili Bowl Nationals in recent memory. Those things and so much more happening tonight on Horsepower Happenings. Good evening. Welcome in. I'm Zach Heiser. Rich France joins me from across the way. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great on this Monday.
Yeah? Doing all right?
Yeah, it was a great weekend. We had a fun time at the 60th annual Michigan Auto Racing Fan Club awards banquet and dinner dance. Man, you got to do the DJing at the end, and you had everybody on that dance floor.
It ended up being a pretty good time, didn't it? I mean, there were
so to me.
I kept 90% of my clothes on, which is not bad, not bad. So it was pretty good. Hey, we had a really cool day on Saturday, right? So since our last episode of the Horsepower Happenings podcast, some big things have happened, and we are proud to announce as Horsepower Happenings that we are now a member of the Michigan Area Racing Connection Network. So that'll be MARC News or the MARC Network of podcasts, and we joined the 500 Sprintcast as the founding podcasts in the MARC Network, Rich. And I guess I'll kind of take it from here because it really is something that I just kind of did and then called you and said, hey, this is happening.
Yeah.
So, but you know what? Horsepower Happenings, I thought, was a great brand for the podcast, and we kind of forced it into doing some other things over these last 7 years. And, you know, the opportunity came for me to own this business again, and I thought, what better time than now to do a brand expansion? And so we're doing it, and Michigan Area Racing Connection will be that. News, results, podcasts, job bank, photography, and that's just what we've got right now, an opportunity to do a lot more things on the horizon. And, of course, MARC News will be the shortened version of it, and we invite you to go over and follow the Michigan Area Racing Connection on Facebook, at MARC News MI on Twitter or X and Instagram. Follow those pages. Check out marknews.org. When you go to marknews.org right now, Rich, you'll be invited to sign up for the weekly newsletter. Right now, that will be the way that we pay homage to the MARC Times Racing News. Is not with a print publication, but we're going to send out a weekly newsletter for starts and see what we can do from there. So I don't know, Rich. Again, I just kind of drug you along with me, but I'm excited about the new project.
Yeah, I wasn't asked, do you want to do this?
No, I didn't ask.
Like, guess what we're doing next?
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And you know, I always told you, I can tell everybody, you know, over the years that we've been doing this together, one of the things I said at the beginning is, yeah, I'd like to get involved in this, but we got to grow, right?
Yeah.
And we've had we've had some growth spurts, that's for sure. And we have had some times where we're just kind of motoring along, right? Doing our thing.
Treading water, as I say. I like to say treading water. So,
and this is a big opportunity and big expansion for us. So I'm really happy about it.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. Hope you'll join us and ride along. Let's talk about the Michigan Auto Racing Fan Club banquet. First and foremost, I want to say, Rich, I don't know how much you got this, but I want to say thank you to everybody who congratulated us on the announcement of MARC and all the support that we got. You mentioned it, Rich. You were like, they clapped, so that must be a good thing. So I appreciate that. But the fan club banquet was a lot of fun, Rich, on Saturday.
Yeah, it sure was. I think one of the highlights for me was the Finley family getting honored with the President's Award. I mean, man, over the years, I mean, they've been involved in motorsports for a very, very, very long time, and they've been a positive voice in motorsports and performance as well, on and off the track, right?
Absolutely.
So, and Jeff and his dad and his mom have always supported motorsports in the state of Michigan. So I think that was a well-deserved honor for the family.
Absolutely. So coming up on the program tonight, we have a lot of new faces in here. Want to let you know, coming up, we'll have Darin Naida. He is scheduled to be on here in just a few moments. Linda Bloom, one of the original everything person from the MARC Times Racing News. She'll be on. I-96 Speedway's Larry Curtis, and then Gary Lindahl with Gary Did You Know, all on tonight's program. After the Michigan Auto Racing Fan Club banquet, my buddy Rich, who I thought knew everything, learned some very valuable information down the road at the after party. Rich, did you know how many talents I had behind a microphone?
I did not.
He said, I can't wait for Monday's show because I know you're going to bring this up. Here you go, buddy.
Yeah. So, let's go have a couple Pepsis after the banquet.
Yeah.
We had to control ourselves because we were working, right? So we couldn't, partake as much as everybody else could.
That's right.
And then I looked on my phone and said, well, what are the odds of this? There's a place that serves Pepsis like 3/4 of a mile down the road. And you were like, well, sign me up for that.
Yeah, let's go. And then we no sooner get out of the car and I hear, all right, give it up for so-and-so. Next up is so-and-so out of the walls. And I looked at my wife and I went, it's karaoke night. and I was in on that.
And my first thought was, oh no. And he wants to drink Pepsi and sing. This can only go one way.
All right, Rich, let him hear it. How did it go?
My man can sing.
Catch me at a karaoke bar and let's have some fun this summer, okay?
Okay. This was not a place that we'd ever been to before, so I can't say you staged the crowd.
I did not.
But they were singing along with you and cheering for you, and I said, well, this didn't work out the way I thought.
Yeah. Justin is asking.
Excellent job, my friend.
Thank you.
You did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
And when you finished the first one, you said, I got to get up there and get in line again.
I got to go do another one. Shout out to David McManus, who got behind the microphone on Saturday night as well. Good job to him. Justin is asking in chat, does Pepsi sponsor the show now? No, Pepsi is a code word. All right, Pepsi. Just a little Pepsis afterwards. So, all right, Great Lakes Super Sprints made a big announcement, Rich, over the weekend. On Friday morning, announced that they are no longer going to have the Hoosier Racing tire as their official tire for the Great Lakes Super Sprints. That will now be American Racers. So the American Racer tire will be used on the right rear and left rear, open on the front axle. And then Great Lakes Traditional Sprints and Great Lakes Lightning Sprints will be open all the way around the race car. Rich, obviously I was very close to this whole project, so I'll yield the floor to you on your reaction to the news that Great Lakes Super Sprints was changing brands. I know it's kind of been a theme lately, right? Berlin has switched. We've seen some other major sanctioning bodies make some changes as well over these last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, my whole racing career, I'm not going to lie, right? I was always a Hoosier guy. That's what we were running, so had no choice. And man, over the years, you kind of, at some point, cost has to come into play, right? It used to be, early in my career, it was never, let's work on keeping the cost down for everybody. It was like, everybody spend what you want and hope you brung enough, right? And you were all on the same tire. Now, a lot has happened since COVID and with the lack of product to be able to make tires through that time period. and the price of everything has gone up. So now you got to take a second look at it and say, is it worth spending blankety blank for a set of tires? Or is there another option where you're not going to give up performance, quality, durability, on and on and on?
Yeah.
And the people at Great Lakes Super Sprints, they didn't just do this on a whim. They investigated all of this and talked to a lot of people, drivers as well within your group. And this is the decision you guys decided to go with.
Yeah, and it looks like everything that we've seen, I mean, we've had some private conversations after the announcement, but for the most part, pretty positive, and we're excited about it and the relationship. You know, this was the big thing with Barry and his conversations. The relationship with the individuals that make up Hoosier Racing Tire, great. Okay, hands down, great people. We love the people. But you're right, Rich, it is a business decision, and we've already had a great few conversations with American Racer, as you said, and we're looking forward to seeing how it goes here coming up in just a few months with the first races going down at I-75 Raceway. Last thing quickly, Butler Motor Speedway released the 2026 schedule of events over the weekend as well. 22 race nights on the calendar, and a lot of sanctions coming back, Rich. We will see the Great Lakes Traditional Sprints. We'll see the Valvoline American Ironman Late Model Series twice at Butler Motor Speedway. High Limit Sprint Cars, of course, will be in for the Mace Thomas Classic. Then Great Lakes Super Sprints in there twice. Dirt Car Summer Nationals Hell Tour will be in there. And USAC, their national sprint cars will be in there. But earlier this year, the USAC non-wings will be there in June. So another impressive schedule put out again by Butler Motor Speedway. We have Darin Naida, a record setter from the Chili Bowl Nationals over the weekend, in the wings. He's next here on the Horsepower Happenings podcast.
Zach Heiser here with the Horsepower Happenings podcast with some very exciting news. If you're seeing this video on this particular platform, whatever name is above or below this video, this is going to be a part of a very big collaborative effort that I'm launching today, the Michigan Area Racing Connection News, which will be MARC News. Now pause. For all of you old race fans and the race fans that know about the rich history of Michigan motorsports, I already know what you're thinking. And you're exactly right. I am borrowing the MARC acronym and bringing it back as a hub for Michigan motorsports. News, results, podcasts, photography, job banks, so much more going to live at marknews.org. And I'm not just doing this on a whim. I'm not doing this without a lot of thought and conversation. In fact, I'm happy to introduce Linda Bloom, one of the original workers with the MARC Times Racing News. And Linda, we've had a lot of conversations, and I just want to give you the floor and an opportunity to share your and the Beebe family's thoughts on the return of MARC News.
Thanks, Zach. First off, I think my parents would be so proud. I'm probably going to cry, but, they put their heart and souls into the MARC Times and into the whole, everything that has to do with auto racing, from safety issues. My dad announced, he flagged, he promoted, and they decided to do the MARC Times in 1965 when they started it. They were sitting at a table with two couples that were friends of theirs, and he had given them all of his ideas. And then they're like, okay, now we got to find a name. And so a lot of people don't even know what MARC Times stands for. A lot of people wrote it as MARK, but it is MARC, which stands for Michigan Auto Racing Chronicle. And just sitting around a dining room table, the six of them threw out different names, and this was the one that stuck. And anybody that was around when the MARC Times was going, Dad had his Dick Beebe's fifth turn, and Mom had, I can't even remember. Mom's, that's terrible. Grandstand with Pat on page 3, and Dad's was always on page 5. And if you knew Dick Beebe, you knew that you either liked him or you didn't, and it didn't always matter to him because he kind of let things roll the way he wanted, and he put his 2 cents in when he felt like it. And most people, I think, even if they didn't like him, I think they still respected what he did with auto racing. And when you called about this, I myself, my first thought was, boy, Mom and Dad would think that's cool.
Yeah.
And all of the different things that you're doing for auto racing, they would be very happy about it. They would be encouraging you, might try to give you some pointers, but they would definitely think that it was really a neat thing to do. And when I talked to all my brothers and sisters, of course, you talked to Rick first, and you already had his blessing, and he suggested you call me. I don't know why he chose me, but he did. And I'm just really impressed with what you're doing with the horsepower happenings, and what you've done with a lot of different things. I mean, you're not just a fly-by-night that's coming along and saying, oh, I want to take this name and make me a bunch of money.
Welcome back to the Horsepower Happenings podcast. It's our pleasure now to welcome in our first guest from Adrian, Michigan, Darin Naida. Welcome into Horsepower Happenings, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a little while.
Yeah, it has, and you've done some stuff since the last time we talked, man. And we watched on our way to the Michigan Auto Racing Fan Club banquet. Unless you're a law enforcement officer, then you didn't hear that. But we did watch on the way to Chesterfield Township. And it was so cool from this end to know, first of all, to know you, and then to watch the rest of the country start to know Darin Naida, root for Darin Naida, and just be in your corner for what was an unbelievable morning and early afternoon. I don't even know where to start for you, man. Like, how are you digesting all of this? And I imagine it's carried over these last 48 hours as well.
Yeah, for sure. It was a really cool deal. I just really was trying to be in the moment for the most part. Luckily, my crew chief and teammate this year, Jason McDougal, had been through that before, so he kind of kept me really calm throughout the whole thing. And I guess really the coolest part was just kind of playing into the crowd and all that stuff. Like, there's the guys over in turn 2 and all the people over in turn 2 were going crazy every time I rolled by under yellow. It's like it's hard not to like get into it a little bit because you can see them every time I roll around turn 2. They get excited, and it was really cool. I think it was either the G or the H that I was in was the last main I was in, and well, I know the G was the last one, but I think it was the H. I rolled around, and all the people in the whole building were going crazy. You could feel the energy in the place, and then we kind of had a little bit of an issue just all week getting the thing tuned right because it's a very new project. I mean, it hadn't been raced at all before Chili Bowl, and it had been run on the dyno and not really tuned much at all, just kind of made sure it ran and then put it in the trailer and brought it to Tulsa. So getting it right was a big worry we had. And we were just hoping to go out and have no issues, and then going out and be able to train through that many mains and get into all the energy in the building and meet all the people afterwards was really surreal.
When you're going through something like that, Darin, and you're getting pumped up after each one, right? You got to be pumped. When you were going through that whole process, did you ever think, man, if we just didn't have the bad start that we had to the week, where could we be with this race car?
Yeah, I've thought about that a couple times for sure. The last 3 years really, I've worked with Jason McDougal as a crew chief, and he's had me super comfortable every time. It just seems like we've had a mechanical issue or had something go wrong each time. That's kind of, I feel like, held us back a little bit. The first year I was running for the Morton brothers, and we had a right rear bar go bad that we didn't find until after the B main. We pulled it out, and it had all sorts of spider web cracks all the way through it. And it just had this horrible hop to it. And to where it didn't matter where I ran, I could run the bottom, the middle, the top. It was going to get biked up and do a lot of goofy stuff either way. And then the K-Tech deal, I felt like we got a good grasp on it just too late. We kept trying to go leaner and get it fueled better and make more power. And it was great all practice day. It was great on the hot lap session during our prelim night. And then we went up for the heat race, and we just went a step too lean, and it was stalling at the end of the straightaway and doing all sorts of weird things. So I had to go back and run the C. And we marched through the C and got up to one spot out of the A in our B main, and just had an incident and got upside down. And then this past year, obviously having never ran a 3-cylinder before, we were trying to tune on the fly almost. And I felt like it was all right during hot laps. It was just when I was fighting a lot of issues when I'd lift off throttle. Like earlier in the night, I had so much grip when I would lift, it would lock up and actually stall. And we put some gear to it, and change some fueling stuff around to try and get it to where it'll clean up the lower end and just kind of band-aid it for the heat race. Cause I mean, that's really your most important race of the week is your heat race. You can make your week or you can end your week right there. And I felt like we kind of ended ours a little bit, ended our contention anyway, I guess you could say. I went out in my heat and we were just really gear bound from how much gear we put in it and not really making a whole lot of mile an hour. So I just kind of holding in place, and the guy in front of me went way wide in 3 and 4, and I got under him, and I felt like he was trying to come down while I was trying to get in there. And I guess it's just a racing deal, trying to drive over my head a little bit to make up for the issues we were fighting, and got into him and got upside down and broke a radius rod and didn't get it fixed in the work area in time. So we I think we were in the D main, and then just kept fighting some tuning issues there, and then got it cleaned up for our mains obviously on Saturday, but it was just too little too late, I guess.
At what point when did the conversation start as you start to realize how thick the soup is going to be? Is there ever a conversation as to whether or not you're even going to take a charge at this thing on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that have those conversations about, do we run it, do we not? And for us, more, it was just another opportunity to try and get this 3-cylinder tuned in better. And we never talked about running it or not. Obviously they didn't run it with Jason just because of the issues they had. They couldn't get it repaired for Saturday. But my car was all good. Everything was in one piece, and we went back to the drawing board and changed some header stuff around and changed some stuff with stacks around a little bit, to try and get it better. And we thought, there's no harm in trying, right?
Sure.
We're just going to go out and do the best we can, like we always do.
You got asked at one point in the Flow broadcast about the run, and your answer was perfect. You said, I don't really care about the numbers or what's happening. Like, we're just trying to advance. At what point did you go, damn, we're doing something here? Like, was there a moment where you did have to take a second and just even appreciate what you guys were accomplishing?
I mean, yeah, for sure. It's cool to appreciate it. And there's so much history in it. I mean, there's Yaley's run through all the mains where I don't remember which main it was he came through, but I remember he passed 69 cars on his way. I think he made it today. And it's cool to look back on runs like that and runs like my teammate Jason had a few years back. And then obviously what me and Mac had this year. It was really cool to just, like I said earlier, just see all the people getting into it more than anything. I was really thankful that none of my guys got too amped up, just because I felt like it was really important to stay level-headed throughout the whole process, and I appreciated it a lot more afterwards than I did during it. Just try and stay focused on the task at hand and on what's next.
You said everybody came back. Did you? Hopefully, after all that effort, you were able to sell some shirts and hats.
So I haven't sold any yet because I didn't have any Chili Bowl shirts, but luckily I've got them. Neil from R&R Designs is getting a shirt made up for me, and should have it here in the next couple of days for pre-orders online.
Oh, that's going to be busy.
Yeah, it's
that's going to be.
I had
exciting.
a lot of people ask about shirts and if I've got shirts, and I told everybody I had a limited quantity of sprint car shirts left from this year. And when I was there, I told everybody just to reach out to me on Facebook and my Facebook page, Darin Naida Racing, because I can see everybody on there. I can take note of it and get what I need to get out. And then I just talking to Mark Daly really is the one who kind of I guess gave me the idea. Just it wasn't even anything about shirts. I just thought about how many people had reached out about it and everything. I was like, man, I should really make shirts. These people want shirts. So I needed to get on that. And luckily my girlfriend Carly's been hard at it designing a website, and she's got that almost done, and should have something here where we can get people's pre-orders pretty soon.
So Zach asked you about, as you were going through, did you know what you were doing? When you're finally done, after the G, you roll back up the hill, back in the trailer. What's your thoughts at that point? What are you thinking? relief. Man, I wish we could have gotten one because you almost got that one too.
Well, and
You
the thing
almost,
before he answers, the one thing I
you
noticed
almost
too,
got to the F.
from Matt Weaver's video is you're still dissecting what the car is doing as you're walking back to the trailer for the final time. I saw you conversing about what the car was doing, like you were still in mode.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little hard to get out of that mode, I guess, when you're in it for that long. But I was more just thinking my crew chief Jason McDougal, he had me so good and so comfortable, and you can see my hands moving a lot in the video. And I was really just telling him, like, man, I was so comfortable. It didn't matter what I did, how I hit the cushion. I could bike up, I could wheelie, but it never threw the front end over or pushed the front end over to the right at all. And that was something I'm really comfortable with. The front end will come up, it'll come down. The left side will come up and come down, but it never did anything it's not supposed to do. And I just felt like I was so comfortable to where it was almost like, man, just don't go in here over your head and screw this up. There were so many opportunities I had where I could have slid a guy wide open or could have went for a hole that really wasn't there. And I mean, everybody that was watching saw it. There was a lot of wrecks because of that, and it almost played into my favor that I wasn't 140% all the time and over my head trying to drive over people.
Well, I thought it was great too when they asked you if you would wreck your teammate for a transfer spot, and you just said no. I mean, that's not how this is going to go.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I actually watched the Flow documentary about Jason before I worked with Jason. I was a really big Jason McDougal fan. I had his T-shirt from when he won all 3 drillers in the shootout and stuff like that. And I mean, I watched what happened to Bernal when he went in there and kind of drove through Jason. The whole place was booing him. He was the most hated man in Tulsa almost. And so I really, really just thought, there's no good in going in here and driving through somebody. I mean, I was close enough to, I think it was Garrett Williamson, where I could have went in there and drove through him and tried to crash him for the transfer, but there's going to be no good in that. It's just going to tarnish your name and tarnish your reputation. And I was to a point to where I had already made a lot of noise, and I didn't need to have any negative effects on that.
For sure. This interview, real quick before I forget, because we got a lot to dive into, is presented by Outlaw Racing Supply. The most recognizable brands and over 3 decades of experience are available for you at Outlaw Racing Supply. Their showroom in Muskegon is home to brands like QA1, Landrum, AFCO, All-Star Performance, Schaefer's Oil, and many more. From parts and supplies to shocks and suspension, even race engine updates, repairs, and new builds. Hardcore racing parts are Outlaw Racing Supply in Muskegon. Call 231-246-7749 or log on to outlawracingsupply.com. Rich?
Yeah, so you got this thing over with, man. I know everybody here in Michigan was rooting for you, right? And I think at the beginning, that's how it started. Okay, let's see how many, maybe you can get a couple, right? And man, you brought the whole country in on this run of yours. I mean, that just had to feel like nothing you'd ever done before.
Yeah, it was really cool just to see all the people rally around me. And when I got back to the trailer afterwards, I looked at my phone and I had over 400 notifications, and I don't have any of my social media notifications turned on other than Twitter. I was just strictly from the text I was getting in my Twitter notifications. I was well over 400, and it was just so cool to see all the people rally around our Mission Foods 3D, and just pop in on the experience with me and be a part of it. It's for sure something I'll never forget, and it's gonna stick with me for a long time.
So how do you top this? What's next on Darin Naida's schedule? That because coming off a performance like this, you better pick your next spot good.
Yeah, I mean, I need to kind of clarify something for my one interview. They asked me, I don't remember what the question was they asked me, but I kind of asked the question to how many mains I needed to go through before I got a full-time sprint car ride.
I was going to ask you about this.
Obviously, having a full-time sprint car ride is every driver's goal that's racing. I don't know anybody that's racing that if they were approached with a full-time outlaw ride or high limit ride or even just a pick and choose ride or really any ride for anything when they're driving their family car. I don't know anybody that would turn that down and turn that opportunity down, but I do kind of need to clarify my plans a little bit. I am committed to MARC Daily and MARC Daily Racing for 15 to 20 or 10 to 15 races here this coming year. We haven't really sat down and decided what those 15 to 20 races are, but we actually talked about it on Saturday after my run was over. That hey, we need to sit down and figure out what these races are going to be and and what we're gonna do. But I just like going racing with Mark. He's a great friend of mine, and he's supported me a lot throughout my career, and he's just all around great guy. So I enjoy going racing with Mark. I'm going to do that. And then as of now, I don't really have any other set in stone plans other than that. I've got my family car. It's actually here behind me. Well, this one's for sale, but I'm working on getting my family stuff around for this year. I've got a lot of great partners, and I'm going to go racing to try and fill in as much as I can with that. And that's we're trying to kind of wind down the family deal a little bit. It's kind of been our plan since we got into sprint car racing. We knew going into this that we didn't have the finances or the funding to do this sustainably for a long period of time. But my end goal since I started racing has been to be a professional race car driver. And we felt like it was time to make the jump into sprint cars in 2022. And we knew that the ride was going to come to an end sometime, but we got to make the most of it while we still can. And so we're going to try and go racing as much as we can this year. I got some great partners behind me, and I'm always looking to add a couple more to get us racing more and to get anybody's name out there.
Last thing, and this interview could go for another 20 minutes, but we just don't have the time tonight. You surrounded yourself with so many great people in Tulsa. You talked about Jason. Obviously, the Binks Motorsports crew includes a great guy like Cody Swanson, who we saw in the video. But I watched Matt Weaver's video, as I said, and the second or third guy to come to you and grab you by the shoulder and pull you in was Steve Irwin. And I still remember a night at Tri-City when a young Darin Naida got to run his 600 with the Lightning Sprints, and then a night at Tri-City when a young Darin Naida got to run a full-size sprint car. What was the conversation like with Steve, and setting history like you did, and just making all these people proud? Like, how does a 19-year-old who's still full-time in college, how did you process all that, and what did that mean to you for Steve to come over?
I mean, there really wasn't a whole lot of processing, I guess, of it until a few hours after the fact, sitting up in the stands, watching in the skybox and having Mark, well, I guess up there with Mark Daly in his skybox seats, having the people come down and congratulate me and walking through the pits and having people congratulate me kind of everywhere we went and shaking my hand. It was really surreal. But Uncle Steve he was down there helping Kyle Simon. They were just a few spots down from us. And the first thing he did was apologize to me because he told me he didn't feel good and he missed the first few mains.
Oh man,
that I was in. And he's like, man, I didn't feel good this morning, but this is pretty cool. And just really congratulated me and told me he was proud of me. And obviously there was a lot of that from a lot of different people. So it was really cool to have him there for it. And, my dad was there and my mom was there, and it was cool to experience it with a lot of great people. It was cool to experience it with my girlfriend came down to Chilliwack this year, so it was cool for her to be there with me. I remember.
And you said that she had to bring you like gloves and head socks, and I mean that this was a whole thing.
Yeah, so I've never raced long enough to sweat through my gloves or have my head socks soaked in sweat, and so I remember asking my mom if I could borrow her phone and texting Carly and asking her, because I think she was up in the stands. Text her and asking her, hey, can you please grab me another pair of gloves out of my bag and another head sock, just because like my gloves were soaking wet and it was getting uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like she was a great help, and she grabbed me some water and kept me hydrated. I really got to thank everybody that was a part of it. I got to thank Cody Swanson for keeping me level headed with Jason McDougall. And I got to thank, first and foremost, I got to thank Dan Binks for giving me the opportunity these last couple of years and taking me down there. And I got to thank him and his son Phil and Uncle John for all the work they put in, and Kyle Rogers for all of his hard work this week. There was a lot of struggles throughout the week. We started out, they loaded the thing hot off the dyno. It didn't have a chance to cool down. I think it was still at 160 or 180 degrees when they pushed in the trailer and hit the road for Tulsa. But
how hot did that thing get in that run? I was going to ask you that. How did the motor handle that run?
I think the hottest it got was 220 degrees.
Oh, perfect.
So yeah, it really never got too hot or anything, and that's kind of a feat in its own for an engine that's got no water and no radiator. But yeah, I really got to thank everybody for sticking together and kind of rallying with me. We got there Saturday and it wouldn't fire, it wouldn't start, and it didn't run all day Sunday. We changed almost everything we could, and it ended up just being a simple ground wire issue. I got to thank Shane Stewart from Port City. He's a friend of ours, and I got to thank him for letting us come over and burn some laps and tests and just make sure everything ran. And yeah, I just got to thank my guys really for sticking with me and sticking with our Mission Foods 3D after a rough first half of the week and a rough prelim night and even a rough time with Jason. It was nice to cap off the week in I guess a historic way.
Well, I tell you what, I know, in the grand scheme of things, you'd love to run the A main, the Chili Bowl Nationals, but as Rich said, everybody here in Michigan and the surrounding areas was pulling for you. You had the whole country pulling for you at one time, I think. And it was so cool. Congratulations on a record-setting run, and cool that your teammate tied that record with you. Man, just good job and good luck this season. Thank you for making time to be on the show. Yeah,
thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, that's Darin Naida. Follow him on his social media channels and see what he does this year behind the wheel of that family-owned 7N. Or, again, who are you driving for this year? Daily?
Yeah, the MARC Daily 2MD.
Cool. All right, follow along with him. That's Darin Naida, our first guest tonight. We have to take a break. When we come back, Linda Bloom, originally Linda Beebe, one of the original workers from MARC Times Racing News, is on to share some history and some how it got to be where it is today stuff. That's straight ahead. You're listening to the Horsepower Happenings podcast.
Leader of grassroots racing coverage in Michigan is Horsepower Happenings. Didn't make it to the track? Catch up with the weekly Horsepower Happenings podcast. Available everywhere you enjoy podcasts. Plus, stay in the loop throughout the week by visiting horsepowerhappenings.com. From local results to national headlines, power rankings, and so much more. Every true race fan has bookmarked Horsepower Happenings. Follow along on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And don't miss the next episode of the Horsepower Happenings podcast, Monday nights at 9 p.m. Horsepower Happenings, Michigan's short track racing authority.
Welcome back to the Horsepower Happenings podcast. It is our pleasure now to welcome in one of the original members of the MARC Times Racing News. And you saw a little clip of her earlier today. You can go back and find a full little announcement video that we did on Saturday. But it's our pleasure to welcome from the West Side. There's a lot of connections on the West Side of the state. So I'm just going to say on the West Side, Linda Bloom, welcome into Horsepower Happenings.
Thank you, Zach. It's good to be here.
Yeah, so glad to have you here. And, we did that little video on Saturday, and I thought, you know what? There's a lot of people who would probably like to hear from one of the original members that got the MARC Times Racing News rolling. So many race fans, even today, that we continue to interact with, talk about the MARC Times. And I just wanted you to come in and share some of your story, share some of what you remember. You texted me earlier today, and you said that you got involved in this around age 13, which have been about year 3 of the MARC Times. And I said, okay, well, what'd you do? And then you rattled off this list of things, and I thought, okay, everything. Just talk about what you remember as a kid being around your dad and your mom as they are working through this. And did you realize that it was going to be as big as it ended up being?
Never realized that. I actually was 10 when they started the paper, and I helped do mailing at that time. Just one day a week that we would get the newspaper sent out to people that had subscriptions and stuff. And that was kind of my portion. That was my baby a lot, was doing everything with the subscriptions if people changed addresses or when they sent in their renewals and all that kind of stuff. And at 13, I taught myself how to type because my mom was the only one typing, and she worked a full-time job and she was so tired all the time. So I just taught myself how to do it, right or wrong. And then I helped her with editing some of the stuff when it would come in, and then would also proofread the things that I did myself or that she did. We would proofread each other's, make headlines, decide what the headline of each story was going to be. Got a kind of funny story about that one. Gave my dad a heart attack one time. Usually he says you could start whatever's in the first paragraph of a story, you could go ahead and make a headline out of that. And it's like, okay, well, it was probably about 3:00 in the morning on a Tuesday night, Wednesday morning that we were working. And I did not type the story, so I didn't really know what was going on. So I just read the first paragraph of it. And it was talking about all these accomplishments of this guy. His last name was Ratliff, and he just had so many accomplishments. And I made a headline, Ratliff rattles on. And the next day when Dad got the newspaper, I thought he was going to lose it. He said, Linda, he died. I'm like, oh, well,
no,
a lot of things before he did that. But I was probably 15 or 16 when I did that. But it wasn't bad enough to get fired. So
yeah, what were the days of print like? I'm just trying to imagine how a in-home operation mass produces and mass distributes a printed newspaper publication, back in 1965. How did that look for you?
Well, I'm trying to remember where the first place was that we had it printed. I want to say it was in Kalamazoo at the shopping center over in Parchment. So we would do all the things you had to, like the boys worked on ads and Dad did. I didn't usually do much with ads, but you had to lay out your spaces depending on what everybody wanted and then fill in the stories to make it all kind of flow and look good. And so we would do those on a double wide. If you were to open the newspaper at the center, that size was all the sheets that we did. And so you'd have like pages 1 and 24 were going to be together, and then you'd have 2 and 23. So they all lined up. And after we got done with the paper, we would take it to wherever it was going to get printed at. And usually it was about 4 or 5 hours later, they'd call and say it was done. We'd go pick it up. And then somebody worked on sending out papers that went to racetracks that weren't close by for us to do. So they just packaged those up and we took them over to UPS. And when we first started, the subscriptions, we made them on we made little metal plates that were about the size of an address label now. And we had to with a hand machine, no electricity with it or anything. You would just go across. If it was John Doe, you'd go to the J and snap it in. And that plate would be fed through another machine that did whatever with those. Eventually, then we got those where they were all done electronically. So then you could just feed the papers through fast. But I think at about our highest, I think we had 4,500, 4,600 subscribers, but I don't even know how many papers we sold. And I remember doing that. That was the first job of all of us kids, was going to the racetrack, walking up and down grandstands, get your MARC Times, get your MARC Times. And I used to make some pretty good money doing it at a nickel per paper.
You know, everybody that tells me they sold MARC Times says,
Yeah.
you know, it's amazing what you can get for $1 an issue or $5 an issue or whatever.
Yeah, they were a quarter at the beginning.
Okay.
And the sellers got 5 cents a piece, which was, I thought that was fantastic. For 10 years old, I was making good money.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you know, Linda, you know, Zach and I have both been inundated the last few days, right, with everybody saying good job, you know, wishing us all the success with the MARC news. But and I've known a lot about MARC Times just because I've worked with Gary Lindahl announcing at Flat Rock and Toledo for the last 11 years, and I've known him for about 30. But I saw today, I wanted to find out a little bit more. All 50 states and 22 different countries, MARC Times was distributed in one way or another. That is amazing.
Yep. And we really only ever got to go to Canada and the US, but there were a lot of people in Canada that got the paper, and that's how they decided whether they were going to come across the border and go to races or if they were going to stay around home. I enjoyed it, but I've had people that have said, even as recently as about 5 years ago, oh, I think you and Jeff ought to start it up. And I said, I think no way. but you know what? Dad was always against having anything on the internet. He thought that was going to ruin his paper for him. But yeah, I mean, he was quite a bit older, and he wouldn't have known how to turn a computer on, honestly. But he just did not like the idea of that. But I really think he would now, because you have to keep up, you know, like, I said, keep up with the times. It said it across the front of the paper. And we got to keep up with the times, because people, you know, the print paper is just not the way to go anymore. I mean, Speed Sport doesn't do it either.
Yeah, it's tough. And we've had, you know, we've had this thing going for exactly 48 hours, and we've had questions, you know, is this going to be a printed publication that I can get in the mail again? And I said, well, you know, it's just, I don't know. We're going to start with this and start with what we know and see what we can build up to, because it is tough. Print publications are really tough right now. It's expensive, and it's not very popular, but I understand that there's a want for it. Now, how did the MARC Times go about finding contributors? Like, you know, the days of getting all of that information are a lot easier today, truth be told. You just have to know where to navigate to, and you have to go to a lot of different spots. The MARC Times was the place that you went to get all the information, to figure out who the feature winners were. How did your dad or how did your family decide who was going to help contribute to those things?
You know, I don't know on all of them. I know some came along and said, hey, you know, I wouldn't mind writing an article for that. Some of the guys, I think that Gary Lindahl had written for Toledo and Flat Rock, had written their results, you know, and then it morphed into his Did You Know? And that was what I looked forward to coming in the mail, was certain people's columns. You know, I loved Gary's, and Bobby G, he talked his was all about super modifieds, but there's just certain ones that were really, really good. And there were some that it scared you when they came in, because they wrote it all by hand. And I think they tried to make it in English, but I'm not sure it ended up that way.
So somebody had to translate the chicken scratch? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And that was usually me.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So Linda, Gary told me a story, and I want to share it with you. So he said that your dad went up to him when he was doing his Gary Did You Know quizzes, and your dad said, "Hey, you're not giving the answers. Nobody knows what the answers are." And he said, and Gary says, "So they have to buy another one next week."
There you go. Yep. I don't know. Dad loved to read it, but he'd sit there and first time he ever said that at home, he's like, well, I wonder why he doesn't put the answers there. And I said, like where? And he's like, you should put the answers right after him. And I said, but the answers are next week. And then then the new question.
And it clicked. Oh, they have to buy a paper next week.
There you go. See, and that's probably why people kept buying.
That's right. Yeah, for the Gary, did you know? This interview with Linda Bloom, by the way, is brought to you by Independence Heating and Cooling, Southern Michigan's Bryant dealer. Hey, Rich, do you remember what happened to me last month?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
you had a problem with your heating and cooling.
Yeah, new furnace got installed, Independence Heating and Cooling. It was less than 48 hours from the time that I said, hey, Tom, I've got a problem, to me having a new furnace installed from Independence Heating and Cooling. And apparently, I have launched the new promotional item for the rest of the winter. Right now, when you do a home furnace replacement, you'll get a Wi-Fi in-home thermostat for free. All you got to do is mention the Horsepower Happenings podcast when you call 517-425-0224. That's 517-425-0224. You can also visit them online at ihcpros.com. Independence Heating and Cooling, Southern Michigan's Bryant dealer. Bryant, whatever it takes. Again, new furnace install, new Wi-Fi thermostat on the house. Linda, how did the MARC Times fare on the family? I mean, this was a family adventure for everybody. Brothers and sisters and moms and dads. Like, what did everybody know that we all have to pitch in on this, and this is what makes it go? Or was it just kind of assumed that you were helping with the paper? What was that like? What was the family dynamic like?
It was pretty much that we all knew, because everything that we did as a family. So there were 6 kids, and Ted didn't work on it right away because he was born in 62 and the paper started in 65. Tim was 5 years old, so he didn't do a whole lot either at the beginning, but they tried to sell papers at the racetrack, so that was fun and interesting. But everybody just kind of, my sister Kathy also did typesetting. Vicki tried to help with the ads and stuff. And I think all of us pitched in on the mailing day, because that took about 2 hours, and many hands make light work. So we all did it together. And then most of the time, Dad and I would take off Wednesday after they were all shipped out, and we would go over to, Thursday we'd go to Mount Clemens, or we'd go up to Tri-City Speedway. But he delivered at a lot of local, like party stores and stuff like that too. And any local tracks, if he wasn't going to be at it that weekend himself, then we would go and drop off papers. But a lot of nights after racing was kind of hairy, because my mom, she always wanted to go to sleep. I don't know if it was because of Dad's driving or because she really was tired. So she got relegated to the back seat, and I was the co-pilot with Dad. So
nice.
Yeah, it was fun sometimes. And a lot of great times that we got to meet so many wonderful people with the newspaper that, I still see lots and lots of them. And I don't know, I don't know many other sports from racing that even like the guys out on the racetrack, they might be fierce competitors, but they're family when they get out of the car. And we've just been fortunate.
Linda, one of the cool things that I found out today in my research, because I thought there was a whole lot more behind your mom and dad than the MARC Times, right? And I thought right now in the, at 2025, every other week you can see a big late model race somewhere if you want to go to a different racetrack, right?
Yeah.
Back in 1965, that wasn't the case. And your dad found a way to, hey, we're going to try something here. The first annual MARC Times Invitational, I think it was Hartford Motor Speedway, for late models.
Yeah.
And that was the first, nobody was ever doing that, midweek shows, stuff like that. And now they're all over the place. Talk about the idea. And he was the first one to really kick that stuff off.
Yep. He did that along with the MSPA, and that I don't remember the exact, what each of those initials stand for, but he was one of the main people that started the MSPA, and they ran on Wednesday nights all over different tracks, different weeks. And then they developed a point system, and I don't even know if they do anything like that anymore. But yeah, he has always loved racing. His dad raced. My dad raced until 1958. Mom was pregnant for twins, and she said, "Nope, that's enough." So he did race motorcycles, motocross out in California after that. We went to Catalina Island one time for a race. It was pretty cool. But that was pretty dangerous too. So she kind of talked him into getting away from that. But Dad did everything that you could do at a racetrack, I think. He and my grandpa Beebe and my uncle Bud, my dad's older brother, they built Galesburg Speedway in 1947, I think. Dad would have been 14 years old. And I didn't see this, but I have seen pictures and heard stories that on race day, people would come in. A lot of people didn't have, they didn't letter their cars or anything. So Dad would letter the cars before they'd let them go out on the racetrack, at least get a number on them. And then Dad flagged and my grandpa announced, and I'm not sure what Bud did. I wasn't told that as much as what Dad did. And they got Galesburg going real well. And then they moved out to Mesquite, Texas, and started a racetrack there, built it, got it running, got all the people to work it, and then came back to Michigan again. So they've been in racing forever. And Dad was one of the biggest proponents of getting safety issues. He got the window nets with NASCAR. He got him into there, and he was always on their safe. They do I think they still do a safety segment of the promoters workshops down in Florida every year. And Dad always went to the safety end of it, and Mom was with the NASCAR Racing Wives. And they did a lot of things for benevolent funds, injured drivers and stuff like that. So, and like I said, Dad, I remember the first time that I ever scored. My mom was sick. And my dad was sick and shouldn't have even been there because he had a sore throat. But he says, "Here, this is the way we'll do it. I'll announce them as they're coming across, and you just write them down at the same time," with his raspy voice. And it was 100 lapper.
Oh, man.
That was crazy. I think maybe 15. I'm not sure. But by the end of that night, I was hoarse too.
Yeah.
But he set every single race. He read them off, and we didn't have anybody complain. But
yeah. What was it's amazing how many messages I've got on marknews.org that have sent submissions or have left messages on Facebook or even some comments here in our live stream tonight of people who worked for the MARC Times. What was the moment that you remember this publication being at its biggest, where you were like, this thing is humming? Was there a moment that you thought, that you kind of, even though you were young, that you could recognize, man, this thing is huge?
I really think it was in the early 70s. So I got married in 73, but I think it was in the early 70s when that's when racing was really fun and really good. More respect on the racetrack, I think, by the drivers, because everybody knew, you're spending all this money out of your pocket. You didn't have a lot of big sponsors. But early 70s is when it really, I think our readership, or not just the readership, but the subscriptions went up by 1,000 from 72 or 73 to the next year. And but that was pretty cool. We were spreading out a lot further because by the time we got done, we were doing articles from every state. And back, I remember we used to get stories faxed to us. Some of them people sent them in the mail. Some of the people came and sat at the dining room table. Tom DeVette, who's a photographer and has been forever, he and his mom and dad would come because Marcia wrote the stories for Berlin and Kalamazoo. And then Bill and Tom would take pictures, and they would come and bring them and decide what ones they were going to put into the paper and just sit around if they were there and it was time for supper. Usually on a newspaper day, it was a big pot of chili or big pot of goulash or something that she said, "Put your name in the hat over there, you'll be fine." So
yep. When did you decide that it was time for you to walk away? How did that come about to where you start your own career doing something on your own? Like I imagine that's got to be a tough decision for anybody who works in a family business, let alone something like this, a sport that you love. Obviously, you married Jeff, who's in the sport as a Hall of Famer, still races. How did that come around, and how was that decision for you?
Well, when we got married, Mom and Dad had already bought a house down on Mount Vernon, about 6 or 8 blocks from where we lived on Millam Road, and we stayed in the house on Millam, and we still kept doing the paper in the garage there. The first place we did the newspaper was in Kalamazoo, on Berkeley Street, and that was an old family home that had been sold away from the family, and then Dad bought it. We were there for 2 years, and we left there because Dad kept waking up having dreams that somebody had been killed in our basement and buried. And it was a Michigan basement, and it was over 100 years before. And they did. He called the police, and they did come, and they found bones. So it was pretty weird.
Gotta go.
Yeah, yep. And Dad was like, I don't think I want to stay here anymore. And that house is still there. It's still there, but I don't know nobody probably knows the history. But then we moved into Portage. I was just before I started 8th grade is when we moved there. And I think I don't know. I got so many things going in my mind at the same time.
I think the baseline is like, how do you get to the point where you say, okay, you guys are good, or I've got this opportunity to go do something else? Like, how do you get there?
Well, in 1983, I think it was, Jeff started a van conversion company in Portage, and by that time, the newspaper and Dad was also doing lettering and all that kind of stuff, all at their home on Mount Vernon. And I felt it was time I went and worked with my husband, and things had gotten harder as all the kids were adults. It was just a little bit, it wasn't as easy as when we were all kids to me. And so I told him I was going to go to work for Jeff, and I did, but I did stick with them for quite a bit. I don't know exactly how many more years. But I think overall I ended up working for them a total of 44 years.
Wow.
Because I did go back after Mom died too. He had some other gals that he had hired to come in, and I went back and worked for a bit, but not for a real long time. I did daycare from the time I got married, and I brought my kids over there.
Hey, you got to do what it takes.
Yep.
Got to do what it takes.
It got a little bit harder when I had 16 daycare kids and 2 of my own, and my own that was 4 years and 3 months old was the oldest. So that made it a little bit harder, but I had great kids. I really did. I could take them grocery shopping, and they'd all be good because I'd tell them I'd take them to McDonald's if they were good.
Right.
They were.
Rich, I want to get to Rich here. We're gonna we got to move on because we've got I-96 Speedway in the wings waiting for us. Rich, final question for Linda here.
Yeah, no, Linda, and in case anybody, first of all, I want to thank you, right, from Zach and I, for supporting our use of the acronym, right? It's a lot of weight on our shoulders to be able to do this, and if we can do half of what the Beebe's family's done with it, I think that's going to be pretty successful in its own. But and anybody that wants to know more of your thoughts on it, they can go back on Thursday on our Facebook page and watch Zach's interview with you, where you were more thorough with it. But on behalf of Zach and I and everybody involved with the MARC News now, thank you very much for allowing us to do this and trusting us with it. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate it that somebody respects Mom and Dad enough that they would kind of bring it back to life. And I know it's not exactly the same, but the way that you guys are doing everything, I'm just thoroughly impressed. I've been looking at the websites and some of your past podcasts and that sort of thing. You're doing great. So
we appreciate it, Linda. Thank you. Thank you very much. We really do. Linda, we could talk for hours about the MARC Times. That's just the bottom line. We've got to keep a schedule going here. I hate to cut you off.
No.
Thank you. As Rich said, on behalf of us, to all the Beebe family, like you said, on Saturday, we got connected with you, and you kind of became the face of it here over these last couple of days. So Thank you for doing that. Thank you for everything that the Beebe family did, and we're excited to keep it going. We have Larry Curtis in the wings, owner, promoter of I-96 Speedway. He's coming up next here on the Horsepower Happenings podcast.
The leader of grassroots racing coverage in Michigan is Horsepower Happenings. Didn't make it to the track? Catch up with the weekly Horsepower Happenings podcast. Available everywhere you enjoy podcasts. Plus, stay in the loop throughout the week by visiting horsepowerhappenings.com. From local results to national headlines, power rankings, and so much more. Every true race fan has bookmarked Horsepower Happenings. Follow along on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And don't miss the next episode of the Horsepower Happenings podcast, Monday nights at 9 p.m. Horsepower Happenings, Michigan's short track racing authority.
Welcome back to the Horsepower Happenings podcast, and this is the lineup of guests we have tonight, Zach. We just got to keep them rolling.
What a show!
Or we're never going to get out of here. Now, next, straight from Lake Odessa, Michigan, he is the owner of the I-96 Speedway. Larry Curtis, welcome to Horsepower Happenings.
Yeah, welcome, Rich. Thanks for having me on tonight, you and Zach. And
man, you guys released a schedule this year. You guys got to be pretty proud of it once again.
Yep. Build it, they'll come.
That's right. Build it and they will come. Talk about some of the things that you've done there, as far as the schedule and building it up, and how did you get to where you are with the people that you have on the schedule this year?
Stayed with you guys, GLS's, and then we got the boss right after that with the non-wings. We just slowly putting them together. When I bought the track, we used to have the flat footers out there, and my hope was by 26 we'd have them. We do. We don't have the AMAs, but we got the RPMs. So,
Larry, I had never been to a dirt track until 2016. Okay, and I was a pavement racer for 25 years. That's just where I was brought up, right? And the second track I was ever taken to was I-96 Speedway, and I have fallen in love with it ever since the first time I was there, because when I was there, it was the late models and the sprint cars. And that's what I think of I-96 whenever I want to go there for a race, whether it's to hang out with Zach with GLSS or just go to race. It's late models and sprint cars, and your fans know it because they pack the place when you have those guys.
The speed, we got the size of track, and we got it's 80 foot wide, so they got plenty of room to run. Walt does a great job getting the track, so it's not single lane. There's 2-3 slots, so it's all starting to come together. And we've got the Iron Man this year again. We got him twice, so hopefully one of them will get in. Last year we had him, but we got all that rain. We could have ran on Saturday, but we couldn't run Friday. It was just too wet here. So we missed out on that. So they're looking forward to have them here the 16th or the 22nd. They'll be here, the Iron Man, and then in May, and then August 8th, 7th, they'll be back. And then in between there, we got Summer Nationals coming on the 8th of July. And then we take time off for the Ionia Free Fair. And they got the mini sprint or the lightning sprints at the fair, and we got them here this year too. They're down here at when are the lightning sprints here? June 19th. And then they'll be a month later, they'll be at the Ionia Free Fair.
Yeah.
The lightning sprints.
I want to know how you get to, obviously you and I have had a lot of conversations with everything that we do with the sprint cars, but you decide to buy this thing. You just give people a recap who don't know. You decide to buy the track that neighbors your property. Barry runs it for you in 2023 to just keep the gates open. You and your crew take over in 24, have a good 2025, in my opinion, on what you guys did, improvements to the facility. How do you decide as a guy who has to write the checks? Like, you're bringing in some great stuff, great like Super Sprint several times, All-Star Circuit of Champions, the late model programs with Summer National Hell Tour and the Valvoline Late Model Series. And, you're trying to bring in these big sanctions, these great shows. How do you guys get to where you're at? And for a guy like you who went from a race fan to now promoting the thing in just a couple of years, how has that been for you to decide to bring in these? I mean, they're big risks. That's the bottom line. They are big risks.
They're big risks, but on the balance sheet, every week we do a sheet lays out how we raced, how we turned out, and bigger races are more risks. But if we gotta get exposed again, there's a lot of people that think we ain't even open,
Yeah.
So.
And it seems to have paid off. I mean, one of your biggest shows last year was a big bottom line for you guys with late models and sprint cars, but that place was hammered, right?
Yeah. We did very well that night. Met a lot of people that hadn't ever been there again. Been there in 10 years.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe the scoreboard and the aluminum, and we didn't get as much done this year as we had last year, but ain't that we had intent, but we've had some other obstacles, and so, but we're staying right at it.
And I think it's great too. Like we see, Rich, some people who will buy a racetrack and they'll just kind of run it with what they've got. Larry, you've made it a point to make sure that you're upgrading that facility. Is that just a personal thing, or what is that?
You got to have bathrooms to have your, if you're going to have people coming. I mean, we got to have some porta johns, because I seen last year where, say you brought your daughter, you didn't let her go in the bathroom, you stood by the porta john and let her use that. And so I was against not having any at all, and now we're going to have a few, so the spectators feel comfortable they can do either one.
Okay.
But the bathroom facilities is up to par, and like I said, the scoreboard and the tracks really come around. Walt's took care of it good, and we've all worked at it and changed a few things, and it's been a learning curve, but I've had good people, and we hired Justin Sharp a year ago, right about now. We hired him to help do some consulting, and he's been around racing for several years. So he's led us in the right way. And of course, Mike Betts does a lot with the track. He's kind of the PR person. And we're starting to get some sponsors, and that's what they said at PRI. I had to get some sponsors. That's crazy to do it out of my pocket.
What's that been like for you? Because I love seeing you go to MSPA meetings, PRI, all these workshops. You're not just flying by the seat of your pants. You're trying to put people in position, and you're going to these workshops. How has that been for you, going and seeing how everybody else is doing it?
It's been very open, very educational. I mean, when you don't know nothing about it, that side of it, it's been, you get a lot more out of the meeting than somebody that's been seasoned for years. They got bad habits. I had no bad habits.
Do you think that put you in a good spot? I mean, to be able to see what everybody has done?
Right. I seen sitting, next door, I could see times you don't run a race. 4th of July, around that holiday, everybody goes north, so you do not. And you got to get done before football season in the fall. Them are the two things.
That's right. Yeah, I know we're on top of the college national championship right now. I'm surprised our numbers are holding as strong as they are, Rich.
I know. Larry, I've had guys ask me, questions about I-96. I said, I don't know, but we talk to the owner there every once in a while. So one of the questions I've had people ask me, and you're going to know more than I am because I don't know the answer. You talked about the Ironman series last year where they had to cancel because they got people traveling from so far and they can't wait until an hour or two before the event to see if the track's going to dry out or the pits are going to dry out enough. Right. And the land there better than anybody, right? Is there anything that you can do to help out with the pit area and the parking area
There's some tile in there, and we got to start putting more tile in for sure. There's some tile in there. The mains are all run. All we got to do is some laterals.
And you think that'll really help you with the drainage.
Help with the drainage
when it rains.
But you can't get 4 inches the day before.
Right. Yeah, you can't get.
I was on the phone with Chris, and Chris said, "You think?" I said, "Track's ready. The pits are gonna be rough. Can the haulers get in?" Yeah, when they stop, they're done though.
And, they can get in. They can't get out.
Getting out's gonna be a problem.
You guys have made so many improvements. Just the capital improvements that you guys have made have been so stunning. What is still on the list, and what sort of things are you still hoping to work on?
Well, this year here, we're not going to get what we wanted done. We're trying to get some direct boring done so we can do some lighting work. We got to get underneath that wall and get to the center of the field. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I'll dig the rest, but I can't dig that. Mm-hmm. That's kind of holding the whole thing up right now. And we're going to put all new lights in, but that's not going to happen this year. As some of the people were at the race last year seen, there was several times guy come out and he was throwing things on the track in between the race just to get in the lighting where the dead spots were. He's got it all mapped out. But
you got a plan.
Got it planned, but it ain't going to happen in 26. That was my plan. That was going to be my big improvement this year, but that's not going to.
Well, hey, at least you know what? Some people don't even have plans, so we'll take that, right?
Yeah.
This interview with Larry Curtis from I-96 Speedway brought to you by the Michigan Auto Racing Fan Club. Rich, I always let you do this because you're on the board. Tell us about the fan club, would you?
Well, like we said earlier in the night, everyone had a great time at the banquet on Saturday. Remember, if you have a MARFAC membership, you'll be able to get into almost every track in the state of Michigan for free at least once. That's a member track of the Michigan Auto Racing Fan Club on Fan Club night. And how do you do that? You say, well, you need to get a membership. A single membership is just $20. Family memberships, that's 2 adults and 2 kids up to age 15, are $25. For more information, log on to www.marfac, that's marfc.org, for more information, Zach.
And I-96 Speedway, you guys support the fan club. I love those fan club nights because, Larry, you never know who you're gonna get a new customer through the gate on a fan club night that you have a chance to bring them back.
Yeah, that's over. 26th of June is our fan club, and it's kids' night, and it's fan appreciation, $10 to get in. So
wow. So if you don't have a Michigan Auto Racing Fan Club banquet,
right?
Not banquet, Michigan Auto Racing Fan Club membership,
you're
still
charge
getting a deal on a ticket. Yeah,
we'll give her away. I don't know. Every year's different. Last year's unbelievable on bikes, but we'll give at least a dozen away, up to 20. So,
and you guys have a lot of themed nights this year. In fact, Rich and I said, what night are you? Oh, we got to go to Lions night, probably. I mean, look behind me for crying out loud. But how did
31st?
Yeah. How did you guys? What was the push to get themed nights on almost every night this year?
Well, we're trying to. It's entertainment. That's all I'm trying to do is entertain people. And so, everybody likes sports. Everybody has a different thing, they like. So we're trying to hit everything. We got autism nights. We got suicide awareness night. You got breast cancer pink out night on 8th of May. That's when you're there with the non-wings. We got the non-wings against the boss. We're doing some challenges like that. 2 different sanctions. Just throwing some stuff out there, trying to be a little different.
Yeah, absolutely. We got some Facebook comments, by the way. Cody says he can't wait to get back out there and turn some laps this year. He's going to actually bring his asphalt car a couple of times to race. So I'm thinking that, I don't know. Is that street stock? Maybe. I don't know. And Doug Wilbur says, thank you for your safety upgrades at I-96. Well done. Because that's a thing. We got to remember this sport is dangerous, and they do carry a lot of speed at your racetrack. You got to be safety forward.
Yeah, our safety, that was last year with the scoreboard. Everything you've seen, the spectators seen, but we did for the drivers was the safety. I mean, there's 7 or 8 of them. They're all certified. They're And when I try to get them the equipment, I don't good to have the people, and then they don't have Chris. I work with a lot, and Chris is scared to death with motorcycles.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, that's what I told him. I said, they've been here before. I don't think their old man came.
Oh man.
But,
what last couple of years there's been big rumor, big talk about what's going to happen with that racetrack, if it's going to get shrunk or if it's going to change. Anything to talk about there on that front?
I talked to the drivers this last fall, because before you do lights, you want to change it.
Right.
And they pretty much told me, I've cut it down, I've changed it. It's they'd rather leave it like it is, work on your spectator, help get more spectators in.
That's the best news I've heard all day, Rich.
Yeah.
They're going to leave it alone. Larry, what has been the most rewarding part of all this for you running a racetrack? We talked to promoters who've been doing it for a very long time, and then we talked to guys who've been doing it for a short period of time, and it's a struggle for them and they don't last long, but I think you're in this for the long haul. What has been the most rewarding part about this racetrack for you?
It's people that support me. That's probably the best. I mean, including yourself, you've everybody has wanted it to go. I haven't had too many people I've had a few, but I can correct them too. But it's been nice. A lot of support.
Larry, before we let you out of here, I want you, it's not just you doing this, right? You get to come on and talk to us, but I want you to give a shout out to members of your team. You had mentioned Walt, who has done, I know for years, is a wizard with the racetrack, right? He can make a race. You tell him what he wants and he'll give it to you, whatever you want, and he'll give it to you, right?
Yeah.
But the key members of your team that make this thing go.
You got Walt and Chad Holler that's on the track. They're my track guys. And then everybody else pitches in whatever they need. But then we got Justin Sharps, my consultant. You got Mike Betts is helping him, doing a lot of PR work for the track, and that's what he is at the race night. He's the front gate guy. You got his wife running the concessions. She's had charge of the concessions, and of course you got Chris Gutsley is head of my safety crew, and that's been just like everybody said. We got the top notch. And I wanted the drivers are going to get in that car no matter what. But their wives or girlfriends or family now can feel comfortable. And that's what you got to have them being supported, not just send them out there and, gosh, I hope nothing goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Well, I tell you what, we're looking forward to this season. I know you guys are too, getting back out there to the racetrack. And what I think is cool, you guys launched a new website. I mean, just the updates that you guys continue to do. Anything else on the horizon? Any news?
Well, we got the banquet coming up on March 7th.
Okay.
And tickets are for sale for that. And then we starting out the season with you guys with the big cars. And then we're ending the championship night. You're doing the non-wings. That's their championship night too. So we're doing a lot with you guys, Barry and GLS, and they've been a big part. And when I first started, Barry gave me a lot of, he kept it going, so it didn't, because if it stopped, I'd have to have a whole new kitchen and all that. And so he stepped in and helped there, and he's helped Jimmy if I got a car. And then you guys have been very supportive with all my personal stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's our pleasure, man.
Yeah. The guys put that on there on Mother's Day, my wife's name, and they wondered out if I'd see it and if it was all right. And I guess that's a good thing, because we wouldn't have it without her, because she was a big part of what we bought over the years was.
Mm-hmm. Well, Larry, we can't wait for the season to start. Good luck with your banquet too, by the way. You got to get past that. There's so much anticipation for the season, and that's we still got to celebrate what we did last year and get excited for this year, right?
We do it late now. See, that gets the momentum started.
There you go.
The momentum for everybody's like, well, you're getting kind of late. No, because within 30 days we're going to be at the track.
There you go. Hey, maybe you could even bring, bring some race cars, have an exhibition race out in the parking lot or something, by that time. So, Larry, appreciate it. I think what is the website? The new website, i96speedway.com. Is that what the website slug is?
Yeah.
You can get advance tickets there for, I think, almost every show at the racetrack this year and find out more information. And I can't wait. We're going to roll in there the second week of, I think it's second or third week of April. It depends on how the calendar falls. I think it's the third week of April. And we're going to put on a whale of a show and have a great time at your place. And I can't wait to do so.
Yeah, you guys got to come out for the Hell Tour because that's on or Summer National. That's on a Wednesday. So you got to follow Linda's advice.
Rich, we got plans on Wednesday. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
We're going to 96 to watch the Hell Tour.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Larry, I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you for making time to be on the program.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
That's Larry Curtis with I-96. We'll take a break. When we come back, we phone up a Michigan Motorsports Hall of Famer, a MARC News contributor. Gary Lindahl's Did You Know is straight ahead on Horsepower Happenings.
The leader of grassroots racing coverage in Michigan is Horsepower Happenings. Didn't make it to the track? Catch up with the weekly Horsepower Happenings podcast. Available everywhere you enjoy podcasts. Plus, stay in the loop throughout the week by visiting horsepowerhappenings.com. From local results to national headlines, power rankings, and so much more. Every true race fan has bookmarked Horsepower Happenings. Follow along on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And don't miss the next episode of the Horsepower Happenings podcast, Monday nights at 9 p.m. Horsepower Happenings, Michigan's short track racing authority.
Welcome back to the Horsepower Happenings podcast. It is time now for Gary Did You Know? We had answers submitted this week and throughout the month for what the questions were. If they got them all right, then we will give some prizes away. And Rich, I think we're going to have to run to the store and get some more branded prizes this week, which is fine. Rich,
Gary kind of made us take a bath this month.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Start a new business, have zero money, bring in employees, and have to give away merch. Gotta love it, Gary.
I do. I love it. You know, I mean, I've been pretty hard on these people for, the last 56 quizzes, so.
Well,
the
quiz number 56 from December. We're going to go through that now. I'm going to quiz you just like I always do. And this is the one where you didn't fool them, Gary. You didn't fool them at all. So I'll let you know who the winners are afterwards. But let's go to question number 1 from quiz 56 last month. Who raced a stock car named Old Sirloin?
That was the NASCAR champion, Alan Kulwicki.
Yeah, and we even had some people go a step further and name the steakhouse sponsor. So,
oh, really?
Yes, they knew what sponsor.
I'm impressed with that because I'm impressed.
All right, question number 2. What was Michigan's first paved dragway?
That would be Motor City Dragway, and it opened the weekend of May 30th, 1957.
Well, you didn't fool anybody so far, so let's go to question number 3. Where was Malott Speedway located?
In Malott, Indiana, of course.
And we'll go to question number 4. This one I thought that some would get. What radio station was Rich Seneker sponsored by?
He was sponsored by WLAZ.
So you want the good news or the bad news, Gary?
Oh, go ahead. You can tell me the.
Well, 3 people got them all right. 3 people got all 4 right that I was able to locate.
Well, you know what? I'm impressed. That's good.
So we have Jason, Mike, and Brad all got all 4 of your questions from last month right.
They're probably going, finally.
Yeah. Did you step up your game for January?
Let's see.
Before we find out, I want to say thank you.
Oh, yeah, we did.
I want to say thank you to Al Lardy, a great friend of all of ours with Going Green Trophies and Awards out of Traverse City, Michigan. Custom trophies and awards, full color graphics for all occasions and sports. They fit your budget and exceed your expectations. If you need an award for a last-minute deal, trust me, no problem, because that's me. I do that to him all the time. Hey, Al, I need something in 4 days. Can you make it happen? Yeah, send me something right now, and maybe. Thanks, Al. Appreciate you. Orders filled from green to checkers in record time. Find them on Facebook at Going Green Trophies and Awards, plural, on the web at ggtrophy.com. That's Going Green, ggtrophy.com. Their goal to provide exceptional customer service. It's that simple. You can call them as well, 231-640-4432, or send an email to alardie, that's Lardie, at charter.net for Going Green Trophies and Awards out of Traverse City. Rich?
All right, Gary, it's your turn now. Quiz number 57 for January. Question number 1, my friend. It's on you.
And for our Facebook Live viewers, you can drop your guesses as we go along in the chat. See how you do.
You certainly can now. Question number 1. At one time, Bob Seneker was sponsored by a Chevy dealership. Which one was it?
I'm getting drug on this one. I mean, I just already know.
I think somebody's going to get it.
Okay.
I just say it.
Oh, I was sure. I would imagine they would. But, that's what we do this for. Question number 2. What does NARC stand for?
Man, I wonder how popular that is.
NARC.
Yeah.
N as in.
Yeah. M as in Michael. MARC has been pretty popular the last 4 or 5 days.
That's why I wanted to clarify.
Well, you know what? Hey, and I tell you what, and you certainly had the right person on there with Linda Bloom to talk to her about the MARC Times, and I'm excited about that too because obviously, did you know, was part of MARC Times Racing News.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and you weren't on, Gary, but I don't know if you were watching, but I told Linda, I said if we're only half as successful as the Beebe family was with that publication, I feel like we'll do a pretty good job.
Oh, I know you guys will do a great job. Okay, question
All right, Gary,
number 3.
Question number 3, let's roll.
What was Ron Pittman's favorite number?
That would be easy for me to
know this
answer if
one,
I
Zach.
knew who Ron Pittman was. But I
Well,
don't.
you know, Zach, that should have been easy for you.
Don't call me out like that, Gary. You already know better.
Well, I love to call you out like that.
2 months ago, Gary, you finally gave Zach one that he knew. Don't expect him to know one. So
I know.
quick.
I find, every once in a while I got to throw him a bone.
What did we decide?
And-
Once
and
every
he
3
gets-
months or something, I get one question right?
Sure, absolutely. He gets so excited when he gets one right, too. That's pretty good.
I read the email today, and I even told Noah, our producer, I said, great, I'm going to get drugged through the mud on the show today because I don't know any of these.
All right, Gary, question number 4, my friend.
Question number 4. Where was the Rendezvous Bowl track located?
I'd never heard of it. So I
Well,
wouldn't know.
Exactly. That was my point.
This had to have been a track that closed down or was something else.
Oh, I'm sure it closed down. And the only thing I will say was it was a midget track.
Oh, hint. This is why you listen to the program and not just look at the graphics.
All right, so it wasn't real big.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
But that's
All
not
right.
anything that would help you guys.
All right. Well, Gary, thank you for last month. So Zach and I have to scramble. We appreciate that.
Yeah. We shouldn't have spent all those pennies
Absolutely.
on Saturday, Rich.
Well, we had a problem. We had a problem on Saturday night after the banquet. 20s weren't enough, so I had to start the 50s.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you did.
Zach
so you found
Zach
someplace,
asked me, he goes,
you?
did you get the 20s out? I said 20s weren't going to cut this tab, Zach.
I did, and I felt, guess how bad I felt about it, Gary?
None whatsoever.
None, not whatsoever. There's not one way you felt bad.
Oh, not at all.
Nothing.
Gary, I
Would make you
appreciate
feel
you doing
bad.
this. Did you know you've done it for a long time on this show? You obviously did it for a long time on the MARC Times Racing News. Thank you for keeping it going, man. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you guys for doing that, and thank you for the new venture that you've got going there, and I wish you much success. And who knows, there might be a time or two that you may see a column from way back when.
Oh,
how about that?
Somebody asked in the comments if Gary was bringing a column back, so that's exciting.
Well, I could dig through some MARC Times and give you a column from back when, and maybe you could guess what year it was.
Oh, okay. I like that. Gary, appreciate it, my friend. I've been saying this all night. I had to cut Linda off. I got to cut you off now. We got a wrap on this. Thank you so much, Gary. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much, guys.
All right, we'll take a break, come back, put a bow on this show. You're listening and watching to the Horsepower Happenings podcast.
You've been listening to Horsepower Happenings. The views and opinions.
Grassroots racing coverage in Michigan is Horsepower Happenings. Didn't make it to the track? Catch up with the weekly Horsepower Happenings podcast. Available everywhere you enjoy podcasts. Plus, stay in the loop throughout the week by visiting horsepowerhappenings.com. From local results to national headlines, power rankings, and so much more. Every true race fan has bookmarked Horsepower Happenings. Follow along on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And don't miss the next episode of the Horsepower Happenings podcast, Monday nights at 9 p.m. Horsepower Happenings, Michigan's short track racing authority.
Record-setting Horsepower Happenings broadcast? Possibly. This has been a good one, Rich. I'm gassed. Noah has another production to do over on his Twitch channel later on tonight. Noah, you can drop that link in the chat for fans who want to go over and check out the iRacing broadcast that you're going to do tonight. It's going to be absolutely out of control. It's not going to have an ounce of professionalism in it, but it'll be a good time, so you can check that out. Appreciate him producing the show tonight. Before we wrap up, Rich, what is on the upcoming calendar of events? Anything going on?
Yeah, well, we teased it last week, and now it's coming up this weekend. Speedfest 2026. I think this is the 21st annual.
Something like that.
Speed Fest. Friday and Saturday, January 23rd and 24th. If you want to get away from this frigid cold that we're going to have up here for this week and the weekend, well, this is your chance. Cordele Motor Speedway, Cordele, Georgia. ASA CRA Super Series, Southern Super Series, Super Late Models, the Turn 1 CRA Pro Late Models. Both are non-points events to kick off 2026. Legends and Bandoleros are also in action. Friday, practice and qualifying for all divisions. Saturday, 11:30 autograph session. 12:15 opening ceremonies. The first 3 green flag flies at Cordele on Saturday at 1 p.m. 100 laps for the Pro Late Models, 150 laps for the Super Late Models, Zach.
Yeah, it should be a good time. And by the way, need to correct that. That is the Pro Late Models are not sanctioned by the Turn 1 CRA Pro Series, nor are the Super Late Models co-sanctioned by the ASA CRA Super Series. New this year, it's just Southern Super Series Super Late Models, and I don't know who's sanctioning the Pro Late Models this year, but not the case. So
they had it on one of their releases.
I know, and I thought that same thing, but I was corrected today. So by someone.
Pro Late Models and Super Late Models.
There you go. We'll just keep it generic. What's going on down at Cordele? And Rich, I mean, we're gonna get heated here soon. We are gonna get heated here soon with a lot of content, with all sorts of stuff going on from Florida. It's just gonna be out of control.
Well, I saw the schedule for today, and I was like, we have to do all of 2026 in one night, man. But yeah, light this fire and let it burn, right?
That's right. That's what we're going to do. So it's going to be a great season. We're looking forward to it. Thank you all so much for being in the show tonight and watching on Facebook Live. Thank you to those who are listening to the audio portions back on Spotify, iTunes, Apple, wherever it is that you get your podcast, Pandora, Amazon, iHeart. It's everywhere. And for watching here on Facebook as well. Have a great night. Be safe. Have fun. Again, Noah is going to be producing an iRacing stream on his own account, and we put him right up to the very end of production, so that's going to be wild for him. He put the Twitch link in our chat as well. So for Noah Longyear, our producer, for Rich France, our co-host, I'm Zach Heiser. Thanking you so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you same time, same place next week, right here on Horsepower Happenings.
You've been listening to Horsepower Happenings. The views and opinions expressed in tonight's show may not directly reflect that of Horsepower Happenings. The contents of this program may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or disseminated without the express written consent of Horsepower Happenings. Follow Horsepower Happenings on Facebook, Instagram, X, and all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, and Pandora, to keep up on what's happening.